All right, everybody. Welcome to our post-game recap. Bucs, Falcons. It's over. Falcons have lost another one. This time, final score: Bucs 48, Falcons 25. They always like to say at the end, "Well, the score doesn't reflect how close the game was." But the bottom line is that once again, the Falcons find themselves on the short end of the stick. Now 0-2 to start the season. Bottom line, it just didn't look good for the Falcons. I know it's really kind of the good, the bad, and really whatever. I guess we should not be shocked as this team is now trying to transition. This is very similar, I guess, to some degree to what the Hawks had to go through a couple of years ago before Trae Young got some pieces that were added, like Clint Capella and other people to kind of get this thing up and running and started. And I guess that's what we have to just be honest, and that's where we are right now with the Falcons. This is a team that really, as you can see, we're outclassed by the Buccaneers. You can see that the Buccaneers being the defending Super Bowl champions and the Falcons in a rebuild mode. That's what we have right now. And it's really tough to watch as a fan because you kind of think to yourself, how come we couldn't have got this whole transition thing handled a little bit easier, a little bit better? But nevertheless, we are where we are as the Falcons go down to the Buccaneers. Final score 48-25. The sad thing is that the score was, in fact, only 28-25 at the third quarter mark. At the end of the third quarter, the Falcons were right there. The offense looked like they had kind of found their rhythm a little bit. But the Super Bowl champions showed why they are, in fact, Super Bowl champions, have returned all 22 of the starters, which is why they looked crisp and sharp. And the Falcons, at the end of the day, did not. So it's going to be a long road for us Falcons fans, I believe. What do you guys think? Good, bad, or indifferent? What would you grade the Falcons? If you had to grade the Falcons, what would be your grade? We'd like to know that. I'll pop that up on the screen here. So I'm going to ask you guys the question. What would be your grade? What is your grade for the Falcons in today's game? That's what I'd like to know. I'm going to put it up here on social media so you guys can see it and you guys will be able to answer. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something also a little bit different. I'm going to actually pop in our live stream code so you guys can join us almost like a phone call. All right, so I'm going to let you guys go ahead and join in here with us here. What is your grade for the Falcons on today's game? Do you give them an F? Do you think they failed because they just got, kind of the game got away from them? Do you want to give them maybe a C for average? Kind of, well, it's kind of what you expected. Love to get some feedback from you to find out what you guys think about this. I'll put it up there. You see the question right in the screen. What is your feeling about the Falcons after this game? Do you think that what grade would you give them? A, B, or C, D, F? What would you give the Falcons after today's game? And like I said, again, we're going to pop up here for you in just a moment. You'll be able to have the link to join the broadcast. Again, I'll pop it up on the screen right here. What is your grade for the Falcons on today's game? What do you think? Let's go ahead and put the link up on the screen for you. So you guys, if you want to join us, you certainly can. We'll go ahead and put the invite link up here. And here's how this works. It works just like Zoom. You can go ahead and copy it. I'll go ahead and put it on social media right now. Let's put it in here. There it is. Okay, and I'll just put it here if you want to, like I said, to join show with your comments. You just follow the links I'm going to put up here right on the screen. Put it right here. Follow this link, and you guys can go ahead and pop in and join us right here. I'll put it here for you right here to join the show with your comments. Here it is, guys. You can be part of the Real Talk Sports Show tonight. Bam! There it is. You can join us right there. Copy and paste that link. It works just like Zoom. I'll bring you in. You can do it with just a straight avatar. You don't have to pop on the screen if you don't want to. That is fine with us, but we'd love to have you join us and answer the question, what do you think is Matt Ryan's grade? Actually, not Matt Ryan, the team's grade for today's game. And speaking of Matt Ryan, let's go here and put some stats up here. We're all about those stats. We're going to get those up on the screen in just a moment, and you guys can tell me what you think. Matt Ryan, let's look at his overall game. I think he was 35 of 48, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if I can get it here and popped out. I think it was 35 or 48 for just under 300 yards, I think, were his final statistics for tonight. But unfortunately, along with his 2 touchdowns, he had 3 interceptions. So that was certainly a bad look. 3 interceptions for Matt Ryan. Now, 2 of them, we have to kind of admit they were, tip balls. So what can you do? Let's go to social media here. Todd saying, hey, we got blown out. Don't say a lot to build on. 2 pick sixes. Well, I mean, here's at the end of the day. The bottom line is that they actually at one point, like I said, gotten it down to 3 points. And see, this is where the Falcons have been very frustrating as a team over the last couple of years. They tease you into thinking that they're going to actually now make a move, that they're going to actually, be able to get back in the game and make this transition, because it looked like they had all the momentum with them, and then all of a sudden it got away from them. And that is because they were just being outclassed. They're not really anywhere near an elite team. That's the problem. They're just not a good team right now. I mean, they just aren't. And so this is going to be a continued problem as we, look at this team going forward. They just don't have the firepower. They just don't have the horsepower to really, match up with teams like Tampa Bay, who is clearly, as you can see, the reason why they're the defending Super Bowl champion. I got to tell you something about Tampa Bay, man. They look like a team that might only lose 1 or 2 games this year, because they have no weaknesses from what I can see. I mean, 0. I mean, they just look like a juggernaut. And like I said, again, the Falcons did cut the lead at 28-25. But like I said, man, they just didn't look like they had the Falcons look like they had no answer. I think most of the league this year is going to be in the same way. Nobody's going to have an answer for this team. Excuse me. So what do you guys think as far as this Falcons team? What would you grade them? Please give me a grade A, B, C, or D after what you saw today. How would you grade the Falcons? If you want to, again, you can join the program by just following the link that you see there. I have it up on social media. You can click on the link. We'll bring you in just like Zoom. Just make sure you're someplace where you have some decent lighting and good Wi-Fi. And like I said, again, we'll be more than happy to bring you into the broadcast. Let's go here back to social media. Okay, Todd gives them a C-. That's his grade for the Falcons. And let's go here. And he says, what happened to, and this is really my question, what happened to this Coach Smith, the new wrinkles? It was frustrating that they did not throw the ball downfield. Well, a lot of dink and dunk. Well, here's one of the problems that we have with this Falcons team. And this is where the rub lies with Matt Ryan. It's not so much that Matt Ryan is a bad quarterback. He is above average. The problem is that Matt's arm is basically gone. I mean, it already was suspect, a couple of years ago, but now we see that really he has got nothing left in the tank. Let's go put up his stats here. Here's the stats right here. Matt Ryan, 35 for 46, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, but a glaring 3 interceptions. And then Mike Davis, a guy who we thought was going to be maybe a bell cow back, 9 carries for only 38 yards for them. So, I mean, you just don't see it. What I think I'm missing here, and I'm going to go ahead and get on the screen in just a second. I just want to kind of get these stats up for you guys so you can kind of take a look at them if you haven't already. Yeah, my big problem with the Falcons is this, is that I was expecting to see a team that ran a more wide open offense. I mean, that's what I was really expecting to see. I was expecting to see, for example, if you notice that Tampa Bay at some point during that game, I think it was on one of the touchdowns they threw to Mike Evans, or it might have been to Gronkowski. They ran what they call a jumbo set. I believe the guys in the league would refer to as a 31 set, where you have basically 3 tight ends stacked up, full back. You look like, man, I'm going to run this ball down your throat. And then you have a situation where with the Falcons personnel, you would think they would have a matchup problem. You would think with Kyle Pitts, you would think with the blocking tight end Lee, and I don't know why, and with Hayden Hurst, you would think that type of setup would create a matchup problem for any team to try to defend. But I didn't really see that. And I will admit this. Let's go ahead and take a look at these stats, the receiving stats. Here you go right here. Kyle Pitts is beginning to start to show us now why he was drafted number 4 overall. 5 receptions, 14 yards, had a nice 24-yard run, And again, as you can see, Matt Ryan targeted him 6 times, and he caught balls 5 out of the 6. Now, I got to tell you, in that 24-yard run, the only thing that was distressing was the same thing that we talked about before, the problem that you have with Matt Ryan. He doesn't have the zip on the fastball anymore. So if you remember that play to Kyle Pitts, that 24-yarder, that really should have been a big play. That should have probably been a touchdown, to be very candid. That was a play where he had a step on the defender. He was in full throttle, and I believe had Ryan been able to get him the ball in the right position, he probably would have scored in that play. And that's one of the problems that you have right now with Matt Ryan at the helm. Again, it's not that he's a bad guy. It's not that he is a bad quarterback, but he just has limitations that sadly are a problem when you look at the way this team is set up. You have a team that's geared to basically run the ball, play action fake, and then go over the top. And even if you remember the ball he threw to Ridley was open. Even though he was in double coverage, he was open enough that a well-thrown ball would have probably got a touchdown on the play. But the problem is, again, Matt Ryan, not a bad guy, okay? Not necessarily a bad quarterback, but he's limited as far as throwing the deep ball. Now, I got to give him his kudos. I got to give a guy a shout out. He did something that I've said he needed to do for a while. That is, he attacked and ran the ball. And you got to listen, no matter what you say about him, about, his skill sets, you got to say the guy had a lot of heart, especially when he dove over into the end zone. You guys know that I've covered the Falcons, had the opportunity to be in the post-game press conferences, the live ones. And I've mentioned to Matt 2 or 3 occasions, and I asked him, are you aware of the reaction by the team, and we're at home, by the team and the fans when you run? And those are the kind of plays that can push your team to victory. Unfortunately, we didn't see enough of those. And it's also the other problem with Matt and this current offense as it's constructed is that these guys are great racking up yards when they're way behind and it looks like it's hopeless. So now there's no pressure. The teams are playing cover 3. You kind of think and dunk, and maybe you get a run here or 2. You get a nice drive and you score. And that's kind of what happened when they went from, I think the score was, let me see if I get this right here, was 28-10. That's how they brought the 20 to 28 to 25 because Tampa Bay kind of took their foot off the gas. But once that fourth quarter started, and the Falcons, if you remember, got the ball when they were down 28-25, I think they were pinned back at around their 10. They were unable to do anything after that point. Nothing. Of course, don't be wrong. The 2 pick sixes blew the whole thing up. But again, how did the pick sixes happen? Because if you remember that game, even that controversial offsides, it seemed like Tampa Bay's defense really had almost an exact idea and timing on when the Falcons were going to snap the ball. And once you have teams that can do that, they kind of then can tee off on you. And that's really what you saw at the Falcons. That's why they all of a sudden couldn't run the ball anymore. They weren't able to get any push up the offensive line because the defense now had really, to me, found an ability to time the Falcons' plays. And that was a problem. So now let's ask a quick question before we get out of here. Okay, so now, what was the good? Did you see any good out of this? What were some of the good things that you saw that the Falcons did? Did you see anything good? And if so, what were they? Now, before I ask, what was your grade? We have right here, Todd on YouTube said he gave him a C-. I don't know what you would think would be the Falcons' grade for today, but what good did you see from this Falcons team? Did you see anything at all? I did see this. Let me tell you some of the things I saw that were encouraging about this Falcons team today. Number one, defense. I know you say, hey, they scored 48 points, but 3 of those touchdowns basically were the offense's fault. So for the most part, even though Tom Brady has some nice numbers, obviously threw 5 touchdown passes, the defense actually played fairly well. They really did. The other thing, too, is I got to give a big shout out for the Dante Fowler sighting. We had a Dante Fowler sighting. Dante Fowler, we had Dante Fowler sighting. I mean, he had a sack. He made a really nice play coming from one side to the other to make a tackle on a run play to keep it from breaking breaking into a long gain. So we saw some good today. What did you guys say? I'd love to hear your comments. What did the Falcons do today that you thought was good? Okay, what did the Falcons do today that you thought was good? I know it's the bad. I got that. But what did you see that was good? What did you see that you said, you know what? That's kind of hopeful for us. That's something we can kind of maybe build on as we move to the future. Like I said, my first one is the Dante Fowler sighting, and not one but 2 sacks. The other sighting, person we saw show up, Marlon Davidson, because he got kind of the other sack, so to speak. So that was really cool to see that. So those are the things I got one good. The other good thing was Kyle Pitts showing flashes of why he was the number 4 pick overall, especially on the plays where Ryan got him the ball, we could do something with it. You can see that once this young man kind of gets even a better handle of route running and kind of where those slots and dead zones are in the zone defenses, he can in fact be a all-pro for years to come. So again, the good that I've taken away from it, Kyle Pitts looking like a number 4 pick, Dante Fowler and Marlon Davidson playing decent games, both of them getting a sack. The defense overall playing fairly well. Now, of course, there were a lot of bad things that we saw. Number one, Matt Ryan, although overall it appeared to have a pretty good game, the Falcons still, I believe, need a guy that can throw the ball with timing and with a little bit better accuracy as far as being able to lead the receivers on passes, being able to fit the balls with some steam, zip in those tight corners. The other thing, too, is a quarterback that can get the ball over the top. Because like I said, the way this team is constructed is designed to run the ball, work the play action, and hit the deep ball downfield. And like I said, right now, Matt just is unable to do that. Now, is the answer Josh Rosen? Should we get him some more touches? I don't know. Is the answer Felipe Franks? Probably not. He throws a pretty good deep ball, but he still is developing his ability to go through all his progressions. So I don't know, but all I do know is that the Falcons as a team, and again, this is no disrespect to Matt Ryan. You got to give the guy kudos. He's had a wonderful 14-year career here. Like I tell people all the time, when Matt Ryan was drafted back in 2008 after the Mike Vick debacle, if you told people then, if you said to the average Falcons fans, okay, here's what'll happen over the next decade of his time being here, he will get us to the playoffs 5 times, to the NFC Championship 2 times, to the Super Bowl 1 time, with a chance to win the Super Bowl. Most you Falcons fans watching me would have said, I'll sign up for that. And that's kind of what Matt has done. Now, have there been some things that have just kind of burnt you where you feel that, hey, this team was set up to maybe do more? Absolutely. To be very candid, as much as everybody likes to slam Thomas Dimitroff about his drafting, the realities is that between him and John McKay, they had 2 4-year runs where the Falcons should have won at least 1, if not 2 Super Bowls in both those 4-year runs. 4-year run number 1, 2008 to 2012. The Falcons twice had the best overall record in the NFC, and in the case of 2012, we're up 17-0 in the first half of the NFC Championship game. Go look at the Dan Quinn era. As much as Quinn was, goofed up that Super Bowl and goofed up some other seasons, the realities are that team in its construct was set up to win multiple Super Bowls. And I'm going to tell you something. Had they won that 28-3 fiasco, I believe the Falcons could have went back-to-back. They had a good enough team to do that. Because think about it. The team went back to the playoffs and gave the eventual Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia Eagles, all they could handle at home before a mistimed Julio jump cost them that game on a routine pass. Okay, let's go to social media. Okay, Todd says, I think the defense showed up. Hard to overcome 2 pick sixes. That's right. Matt just doesn't have the it factor. No zip. I know he had bad protection, but he seems never be able to check out of a bad play. Yeah, see, this is the thing. The thing about watching the Falcons and watching Matt Ryan, like I said again, the guy, you can't compare him. Well, you can't compare him, but at the end of the day, he gave you good quarterback play for over a decade. I don't care what you say. Oh, he had Hall of Fame receivers like Julio. He had another great receiver. He had Roddy White and Julio, two All-Pro ends. He had Tony Gonzalez. All that being true, the bottom line is that he got them to the NFC Championship game. And did he make some mistakes in that game? Absolutely. But the defense did as well. I mean, you can say what you want. You're up 17-0. The offense should be able to make a mistake or two without it killing you completely. And in Super Bowl 51, there's a lot of blame to go around. And Matt had an MVP year, but right now it's the end. I mean, he's reached, like I said, I appreciate the guy, but he's reached the end of the road. So that's it. Okay, he says, let's not forget, he got a gift on the fumble, and that was a TD. Yeah, listen, like I tell you every week, Todd, I'm not here to be, I'm not Matt Ryan's agent. I don't get paid for talking well about him. I'm just saying that right now, I agree with everyone. It took me a long time to come to this, but I realize now that there's enough steam off the fastball that Matt is going to have to be replaced sooner rather than later. But I will say this, again, what was good out of it, kudos to the big man, Kyle Pitts, because he looks like he's the real deal. And again, I say the same thing. Had Matt been able to do what he no longer seemed to be able to do, and he couldn't really do it that well before, but be able to throw the ball and lead the receivers, this is a team offensively that can score some points. This is a team offensively that I think is going to have to understand that their strength is very similar to the old Green Bay Packers. They got a sweep that actually was pretty darn good. That outside pitch they run, that dog will hunt. And I think they need to do more of that type of run play and go at these jumbo 3 tight ends. All right, let's go back to social media. Todd says, I think the defense put pressure on Brady. Absolutely. That's why I said one of the good things about what I saw today, the defense for the first time in a long time, they put pressure on the quarterback. They got, I think, 2 knockdowns, 2 sacks, I think maybe about 3 or 4 hurries on the guy who is without a doubt, probably the best quarterback ever to play the game. And right now, astonishingly at 43, might be as good as he's ever been. So that was the good point I took away. Defensively, they look much better. If you look overall, they were a couple of times they were faced with a short field after that first long drive that Tampa Bay got. I think 2 of the other drives were really short field. One came after the turnover, and then another time it was a bad punt. So Brady didn't have to go far. But overall, the defense played well. I think the offense really kind of left them hung out to dry. And again, what's problematic about that is that we all heard and thought that the Falcons' offense was going to carry the day because Arthur Smith is supposed to be an offensive guru or genius. And right now, I don't know if it's because of them getting behind early, but right now he's been calling very tentative offense and very conservative offense. Now, I got to give them credit. They went for it on 4th down a couple of times. They went for it. No worries. Not a problem at all. I can't get mad at them that they missed that first one. Again, it goes back to some of Matt's deficiencies. He's not a good runner of the ball. So if you watch that sneak, he really didn't know what to do. He kind of backed in and fell. Whereas if you look at a Tom Brady or other quarterbacks, they know you got to kind of stick your head in there and dive into that little crease, and you'll get the ball every time, especially Matt being 6'4", 6'5". Let's go back to social media here. Cordell Patterson, he's a guy that surprised me. I had no idea. And again, kudos to the Falcons brass for understanding that this guy could be such an effective runner playing as a running back. Yeah, he is electric. He's a guy that you got to get him 20 touches a game. There's just no ifs, ands about it. 20 touches a game, you're going to guarantee to get from him a total yards from scrimmage of about 100 yards, and you're guaranteed to get at least 1 touchdown. I mean, that's another good thing we saw. We saw that Cordell Patterson is an answer for the Falcons as kind of a Swiss Army knife, jack of all trades back. And he is a guy that has the uncanny ability to make the small big play. So what I mean by the small big play, when you need that first down, when it's 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, when your quarterback gets in some trouble, like that touchdown pass that Ryan threw to him, and he made the kind of back shoulder over the one hand grab. These are the kinds of things that makes you have to get him 20 touches a game because he's got that. There's some players that have kind of a nose for the end zone. I mean, Warwick Dunn was like that. That's one of the things that throughout his career, both Tampa Bay and Atlanta really didn't utilize him to his full extent. He probably could add about another 20 more touchdowns in his career. But both teams, of course, Tampa Bay had Mike Alstott back in the day when he was there. And with here in Atlanta, they had big backs like Snelling, and I can't think of the other young man that they had in here as well that were big backs, and they went to them. But one thing that Warwick Dunn had, he had a nose for the end zone, and that's what Cordell Patterson seems to have. That guy seems to sniff the end zone. If you remember on that play where he stepped out of bounds, he should have been out of bounds when he first got hit, but he saw nothing but daylight in front of him. And he knew if I could somehow get my balance, I'm gonna have a touchdown. So again, this is a team that is going to unfortunately require a lot of work. It's going to require a lot of patience from all of us Falcons fans. And even all of us, those are covering them, because I got to tell you, when you're covering a bad team, I know people say, well, man, that's what you're supposed to do, blah, blah, blah. It's rough. I mean, it's rough because a lot of the energy gets out of the room when, in fact, the team doesn't play well. It's really kind of a drag to kind of cover, to be honest with you. But all that being said, I'm going to do it. Let me tell you why, because you guys, you inspire me to get out there and do what I have to do. Let's go here to YouTube. We got a Joey Chester Cisnero. He says, Matt always finds a way to lose. They need to change the quarterback. Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier, man. I mean, it's just they got to do better. Wow. 28-3, Matt has never recovered. And it's true. This whole Falcons team, the city hasn't recovered. I haven't recovered. What do you mean I haven't recovered? So a lot of you may or may not know that was kind of my that was one of my biggest years in the media. I actually, at that time, was working for a local cable station here in Atlanta called AIB, Atlanta Interfaith Broadcasters, and they actually allowed me to be a reporter on their own branded show called Skybox. So at that time, obviously no COVID, I had full access. We actually did a full behind-the-scenes show, locker room, pregame, all this stuff leading up to the week of the Super Bowl. I went down my own dime and covered some of the pregame events. I was there at one of the three main watch parties. And what I knew was, from all of the attention I was getting from the local press down there and all the feedback I was getting from people back home, because we were live streaming from events, I knew that if the Falcons won, that the Real Talk Sports Show was going to be a must interview from people all around the country looking for feedback on the Falcons and how they did this run. And plus, I had reams of video. So I've been kind of crying the blues myself. But all that being said, Matt, again, we don't want to in any way not give credit to whom credit is due. The guy took the franchise in the post-Mike Vick era. His very first pass he threw was a touchdown. His very first year, he got the Falcons to the playoffs. And, oh, by the way, a lot of people forgot he was Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2008, his first year. So we want to give him kudos. But at the end of the day, his time is over. And the Falcons have to get a quarterback that matches the style of play that currently we play under in the 2020 and beyond timeframe, which is the quarterback has to be, operative word, mobile. He doesn't have to be a runner, okay? He doesn't have to be, he doesn't have to be all that stuff. What he just needs to do is he just needs to have an ability to escape. Like we saw earlier today, although he didn't get the first down, Matt Ryan was under pressure, and he ran. He scrambled. Let's go back to social media. Todd said, hey, he says, he's just frustrated. You're right. I get you. And let's go back here to our friend on social media on YouTube, Ajan Chester Cisnero. He said, after Super Bowl 51, the Falcons culture changed after the loss. Matt is great, but if they don't change quarterback, it will always haunt them. They need a restart. Trade Matt while he has value. Well, this is the problem. Matt has value, but the problem is that his salary is so big and it would be such a huge hit. Nobody wants to take him. And it'd be very tough for the Falcons to actually do the deal financially. That's why Matt's not gone. Believe me, I'm telling you, on the real, if Matt could have been traded for some real capital, the Falcons would have done it. Because you saw they did it with Julio. I mean, that's just how this works. If they could have found a way to get Matt out of there and get enough back without just crushing him in the cap, they would have done it. But right now, they're kind of handicapped. And unfortunately, to me, they didn't do enough in this draft to really try to find his replacement. Now, don't get me wrong. This is what I will tell you. I do think that Josh Rosen has potential because if you watch him during the preseason, you see why he was drafted number 10 overall. He is the prototypical West Coast quarterback of the modern day era in the NFL. He can move the ball a little bit around, and then he gets that ball out. If you ever watched him, it's 1, 2, 3, gone. Ball's gone. I'm not looking around trying to throw the deep ball. It's 1, 2, 3, the ball's out of here. Let's go back to YouTube here. Mr. Nero said they should have traded Matt instead of Julio. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this is what the Falcons were thinking. They were thinking themselves, like I said again, we're strapped for cash. Matt we're not going to get a second round draft choice from Matt. There's no team out there that's going to give us that for him, but there is somebody that's going to give us something for Julio. And if you can remember, initially the Falcons thought they had a team on the hook for a first round pick, but that's just the way it is. All right, let's go back to social media here. And this is what he says. Preacher, I do think that today they got something to build on, but they have to go beat the Giants next week. Yeah, they really do, because you really don't start 0-3. I mean, I don't care about all this stuff about, hey, we're professionals. I mean, because Arthur Smith, to his credit, I mean, he's stand-up guy, which we kind of knew he was. He said, man, this is football. All the stuff that everybody says. And he said, to his credit, he said, look, don't feel sorry for me. I ain't looking for any kind of confessional to go sit on in. He says, it's football. This is the way it works. He said, this, you got to put on your big boy shoes, or for you ladies that watching, put on your big girl panties, and let's get after it. I mean, that is how it works. I mean, any of those of you watching right now, you got a job. You can't like not go to work because you don't feel like, or you had a bad day the day before. You go to bed. You say, man, hopefully I don't do that tomorrow the same way. You got to hit him up and get back in there. But you definitely don't want to go down 0-3. I agree with you 100%. I think there's got to be some way that they can find to win. And again, it's there. To me, what they need to do, number one, need to go to more jumbo 3 tight end sets. That'll do a couple of things. Number one, Lee as a blocker is an outstanding blocker. You can kind of maybe keep him in. You now have 2 big targets that can catch the ball, both in Kyle Pitts and in Hayden Hurst. And Kyle Pitts is a guy that you give him the ball in that slot. I can believe he can be like a Jerry Rice. He can immediately turn a 15-yard or 5 or 10-yard slant into a 30, 40-yard gain or possibly a touchdown. I'm just saying they need to kind of amp it up. Let's go back to social media here. Going back to Mr. Cisnero, he said, why do I feel that Tampa is not on their best form? He said, he says that's a team wrecking ball. Tampa Bay is the GOAT. Yeah, there's no question right now with Tom Brady. One thing Tom Brady's been all the way. He's answered the question, was the magic in in New England, more Tom Brady or more Bill Belichick? Well, I think affirmatively, barring Belichick, winning like 2 or 3 Super Bowls in the next couple of years, the answer is that Brady was the leading cause for them winning those championships. Because at the end of the day, he's now in a completely different coaching system. It took him probably almost half the season last year to get acclimated. And oh, by the way, for those of you who kind of throwing shade at Julio because Mike Vrabel kind of blasted him, remember last year the same thing happened with Brady. The coach basically said, this guy, I didn't say I'm calling him a clown, but he said, this guy is not on top of his game. He's hurting us. And Tom Brady being a guy, he didn't sit around, I'm the GOAT. Who you telling? He said, oh, that's my fuel. You think I'm a detriment? You think I can't make it happen? I'm going to do it. And what he did was he imposed his will on that team. And that's what the great ones do. And that's really kind of the it factor I think that Todd was talking about before that Matt Ryan doesn't seem to exhibit. That, you see, a great player inspires his team to do better than it would have done on their own. The force of his will drives them. Larry Bird had that back in Boston. Unfortunately for me, I was a young guy still in college when Larry Bird got drafted by the Celtics. And literally from his very first year, he set the tempo for the greatness that we've seen out of that Celtics team over the next 10 to 12 years. It was his will, along with his skill and work ethic, that drove his teammates to do better. He made them better. Michael Jordan made his teammates better. Kobe Bryant made his teammates better. That's what you do when you have the it factor. And Tom Brady can do that. He makes his team better. This was the Tampa Bay team. You might thought about them as any kind of offensive juggernaut. But what he did was he crafted his skills, his work ethic, and then had them focus like a laser on one thing and one thing only: host up the Lombardi trophies. There's no such thing as good losses. There's no such thing as that of just winning a conference championship. None of that stuff. He told these guys, I think the story was told by one of the players saying that they kind of cried after they won the NFC championship. And Tom Brady busted in and said, "Who's crying? What the boo are you crying for?" He said, "We're not done. We're trying to win the Lombardi trophy." And that's the mindset that I don't think that we have here in Atlanta with their sports teams. I mean, because I guess as we're in the South, we're in the city that's too busy to hate. We all trying to be Southern gentlemen or ladies. We don't be wrong. There's a certain amount of dirty bird swag that's there, but for a lot of the main culture, especially at the top level in sports here, everybody wants to be gentlemen. Like we want to be loyal to our people. Don't be wrong. I'm all about loyalty. But if you watch the guys that are the key coaches that have won multiple titles, there's a harsh reality to the way they operate. Think about this. I always go back to this. Nick Saban replaced a quarterback who, for him, I think went 30-2 and won a national championship game because he thought that at that turn time, he could not win him another. So Jalen Hurts, the guy we saw dice up the Atlanta Falcons, was sent to the bench in favor of Tua Tagovailoa, and you saw what happened. When push came to shove, he was able to bring his team back against Georgia and win that national title. And Nick Saban, yeah, Jalen Hurts later went on to be a graduate transfer, and he said he operated as a real man under the circumstances after being benched. But the bottom line is Nick Saban said, "Hey, you got to sit down," because he felt you were no longer the best option at this particular time to win a championship. Let's go back to Mr. Cisnera. He says, "Why do I feel?" Oh, we already did that already. Let's go back to him here. He says, "I wonder if people doubt Brady if he wins 10 Super Bowl wins." Here's the thing. I mean, I got to admit, I'm an OG. So to me, I have been alive and cognizant of football during the time, which I feel, this is me because I grew up in that time, it was one of the great eras of football history from the 1970s into what we have today, especially that run from the 70s into maybe like the early to mid 90s. Yeah, I got a chance to watch some of the greatest teams ever. The Dallas Cowboys of the 70s, the Steelers of the 70s, the Minnesota Vikings of the 70s, the Raiders of the 70s and then 80s, the Washington Redskins of the 80s, the 49ers of the 80s, and of course the Patriots of 2000 and beyond. But at the end of the day, if you look at Tom Brady, the reason why a lot of guys didn't want to give him his pub, especially before he got to number 6 and 7, a lot of guys say, okay, like Ronnie Lott say, I'm not trying to take anything away from Tom Brady. He said, but my guy, speaking of Joe Montana, was 4-0. He never lost Super Bowl. And Steelers fans say, well, hey, you can say what you want about Terry Bradshaw being a goofball, but at the end of the day, he never lost the title. As a matter of fact, Tom Brady this year is going to try to do something that only Terry Bradshaw has done, that he's twice taken his team to back-to-back Super Bowls. And had it not been for just the unbelievable year that the Raiders had in 1977, the Steelers would have been the only team to win 5 straight Super Bowls. You think about that. And they had to knock off the Dallas Cowboys twice, who was the other team of the 70s, and beat the Raiders 4 times, the other great team of the 70s, along with them. So this is what a lot of guys say, well, okay, we like Tom. He's been there more than the other guys, but he's lost games. Our guys didn't. Well, here's the bottom line. He's been to 10 Super Bowls. He's 7-3. 7 Super Bowls. 7. So you may not like it. You might think your guy from your era is a little bit better. But Mr. Brady now is walking around with the shades because he got so many rings and so much bling. He said, bros, I don't care who you say. I know I'm the GOAT, greatest of all time. And there's no more argument about that. Case closed, end the story. So, guys, listen, I appreciate everybody logged on today, man, especially those new guys on YouTube. Please let me do now a shameless message. Follow us on social media at Real Talk Sports 7. Please subscribe for more on YouTube on Real Talk Sports TV, or just go to Real Talk Sports. Subscribe, and please hit the bell, bing, to go ahead and let the alerts be sent to you, because I go on the air. Our show goes on once a week, but I'm on the air like this doing recaps and pregame and postgame. So come on and subscribe and hit that bell, please. Let's go to social media a couple more times before we get out of here. Let's go here to Facebook, and we got Saul Ponce saying they just released the punter. I knew that was gonna happen. I was saying while I was watching the game, homeboy gonna get cut. I mean, because here's what I'm saying. It's not, don't get me wrong, Matt Ryan is a huge culprit, but there were other things that screwed this game up. The punter put Tampa Bay in good field position. We just talked about earlier how well the defense played. You can't give Tom Brady a short field. That's not going to work. So I knew that punter was going to get gone. All right, let's go to Jody Hart. He said, Matt Ryan just sucks. Well, like I said, he is not the worst quarterback. He's a little tad above average. That's just the way it is. I mean, and the bigger problem is now he can't throw the deep ball, and he really can't scramble effectively. All right. What game do you think they put Rosen in? How many losses? I'm thinking the magic number is probably about 4 or 5. I think if they somehow get out here 0-4, 0-5, they're going to make a move, because Arthur Smith is not playing. This guy is not going to let his reputation as being the golden boy and the must-have coach go in the tank for Matt Ryan and anybody else. Remember, one of the things that him and Julio, I think, clashed a little bit behind the scenes, this whole accountability thing, and I'm not giving any veterans, I don't care what you did before, any kind of special treatment. So there's no doubt that if somehow Matt can't get this thing put together and he still keeps missing the deep ball, because if Arthur Smith looks at as an offensive coordinator, he's going to watch that game film and see my plays had men open and my quarterback could not deliver the ball to them in a way in which they could actually make the play successful. I mean, like I said, he played heroically today for most of the game. The running, the diving into the end zone for the 2-point conversion, okay, the flip to Cordell Patterson, you can't take anything away from the guy in those plays. Not at all, because those were all really stand-up plays. But at the end of the day, he missed the same number of plays. Throwing the ball behind the cow pitch, that 24-yard gain could have possibly been a touchdown. The underthrow to Calvin Ridley twice, at least one of those might have went for a big gain or a touchdown. That's what he's going to see on film. He's going to see Matt having to double pump to throw a ball 40 or 50 yards, which now adds another second possibly to the amount of time that your offensive line has to hold up. These are all the things that Arthur Smith is going to look at. And if he's the guy true to his word, where he says, I'm not going to play favorites with anybody, do not be shocked, okay, if in fact Matt Ryan is asked to take a seat after game 4 or 5 if this team either has not won a game or they only won one game. Because again, Rosen has got game. He's got a big arm, and he, again, is a prototypical West Coast quarterback. If you watched him during the preseason, it was 1, 2, 3 gone. 1, 2, 3 gone. This is how the modern day game, forget modern day, it's been going on for 25 years. The 49ers started doing it way back in the day. If you even want to go back further, you look at Sid Gilman, those guys like that. Sid Gilman and people like that back in the 60s and 70s. The game, especially if you're doing an up-tempo game, and actually Matt was pretty good at it back in his early days. If you remember, when he runs that hurry-up offense, Matt is very effective. Why? Because it now works to his strength. I can't throw a deep ball. I can't really move from under pressure. So if I can 1, 2, 3 go. But yeah, Josh Rosen's got it. The only problem he's got is that as a leader, we run into the same problem. His reputation is he's a little snarky. His reputation is he's very arrogant because he does have the skill sets that he has. And last but not least, his family is wealthy. So he has no need to basically put his all in this game. Let's go to Jody Hart back on Facebook. He said the O-line game time today. Yeah, that's what, I mean, it did. The offensive line, much we want to kill him. Tampa Bay has one of the best defenses in the league. Okay, they have one of the best front fours, especially, even the best front seven. Those linebackers are ferocious. They got JPP on that front line. They got Ndamukong Suh. They got Vita Vea. I mean, that front seven is stout. And then they got number 45 coming off the edge. He seemed like he was everywhere. Kevin Hart. I mean, so this is a stout defense. And the fact that I think Mac only got sacked, I think it was 2 times. I mean, you can't really kill him. But the bottom line is, again, they missed too many plays. They missed too many opportunities. And you just cannot win any NFC. It's like the guy said, they talked about this. They said the Falcons' margin for error is virtually zero in the way the team is currently constructed. The defense is look like they're on the move to maybe get up to average. Their offense should be above average. But again, the shortcomings, not that he's a bad guy, not that he is a bad quarterback, but for this team, his skill sets don't fit this team. This team needs a guy at the quarterback position that has a big arm and that can give you the occasional RPO option. Because, ladies and gentlemen, that's where the league is. Look at Josh Allen. Look at Lamar Jackson. Look at our guy in Kansas City, Mahomes. These guys, the reason why they're so effective is that they are a moving target at all times. And they always force you as a defense to defend the possibility that they might beat you with their legs. And that's the way the new NFL is today. Kyle Pitts said this. He said the thing he had to adjust to when he got to the Falcons and started playing against NFL players, he says, everybody's fast. As we say it in down here in Atlanta, everybody is fast. He said the defensive linemen are fast, the linebackers are fast, and of course the defensive backs are fast. So you have to adjust to the fact that that at every position, speed is now there. Vita Vea, as powerful as he is, and Dominican Sue, as strong as they are, these guys also are darn quick like cats. You see these big men, they move. So you have to have skill players, especially the quarterback position, that can move, not to just scramble to run around, because everybody can't be a Lamar Jackson. Even a lot of people can't be a Patrick Mahomes, but you need a guy like a Russell Wilson that can, if you mess around, he can hurt you with his legs, but he's scrambling to about an extra second and a half to get that seam route open, where all of a sudden you go from a 5-yard play to a 40-yard play, or from a 5-yard play to a touchdown. And that's what the Falcons need a quarterback, because they have the players that can do it. Calvin Ridley is a guy that can blow open over the top. He's a guy that can get the deep ball for you. Kyle Pitts is a guy that can get the deep ball for you. Or if you give him the ball on the slant on a dead run, he can do a Jerry Rice type play where he can take a 5-yard gain and turn it to a 50-yard gain. So that's really the key, guys. I mean, like I said, the good I took away from it was Kyle Pitts, like he's the real deal. 5 receptions, 73 yards. Let me put the stats back up here one more time. The receiving stats. There's right there. Kyle Pitts, 5 receptions, 73 yards, almost 15 yards of carry from the tight end position. Matt targeted him 6 times. He got 5 of 6. Can't complain about that. Calvin Ridley got targeted 10 times, only 63 yards. Why is that? Because, again, there were a couple plays where the Falcons could have gone over the top, and Matt could not get him the ball. So that's obviously going to take away from his average. Cordell Patterson, there he is, that one-man wrecking crew, that Swiss Army knife, 5 receptions, 58 yards, had that nifty 23-yard run. And then Russell Gage, 5 receptions. Mike Davis out of the backfield, 7 more receptions. Zacchaeus, he had 2 more receptions as well. So, I mean, like I said again, Matt moved the ball around like he always does. He got the ball to 6 or 7, 8 different receivers. But at the end of the day, it was all, like somebody said earlier, all dink and dunk stuff. The Falcons team, as they're constructed, I'll say this for the last time before I get off of this broadcast, they have got to open up that offense with the long ball. The running attack is only designed to soften up the defense so you can make a big play over the top. You got the studs with Calvin Ridley. You got Kyle Pitts. You even got Hayden Hurst. You got Cordell Patterson. So this idea by looking at Tampa Bay, look at all the weapons they have. The Falcons have weapons. It's just that their trigger man is not the guy he used to be. Let's go to social media one more time before we wrap this baby up. Let's go here to social media. We'll go to Facebook. We got Antonio Henderson. He says this: I like what I've seen today. Defense is starting to get a little bit better, especially up front. It was a game until the turnovers. That's right. Patterson should be used more because he is the guy when he's in and has the ball in his hand, and Pitts is coming on too. Yeah, Antonio, you hit it right ahead. We talked about those things earlier. Cordell Patterson is the guy got to get the ball at least 20 times a game total in terms of running in terms of pass receptions and, of course, in terms of kickoff returns. So he needs that ball 20 times because he's a guy that if you get him the ball 20 times, he's going to get you 100 yards. Case closed, end of story. That's going to work. And Tony, one more time, I guess you're going to be probably the last comment of the day. He said, Matt is getting comfortable. Imagine if they had a line and Matt could sling it. That's what we've been saying. I mean, and I must now make the confession. All Atlanta fans have been telling me for years, Matt Ryan is not the answer. Sadi, you're right. I mean, and you're more right this year than in years past, but there's no doubt about the fact that Matt just, and again, he's not, I'm going to say this for the last time, he's not a bad quarterback. It's just that his strength is not configured to what the Falcons have as a team right now. The Falcons have a team that needs to run the ball, use the play action fake to make a big play downfield. Matt cannot throw the ball downfield with any regularity. When he does throw the ball downfield, it usually short. Now, people say, dude, it's been that way for years with Julio. I get it, but it's worse now than it's ever been. Because if you remember, and you remember at one point, that Super Bowl year wins an MVP, we didn't have that problem. As a matter of fact, he overthrew Julio several times during that year. Now, I don't know what camp he went to and got the arm strength camp or whether he should have went back to that every year. He'd been a lot better. All right, guys, we got to wrap it up here. We thank you for joining us on this broadcast. All the portals, YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, which is now Twitter TV. We're also on Twitch, the gaming channel. We're on there. And also those of you watching live on Roku on the Phoenix Entertainment channel. We appreciate each and every one of you. Listen, we actually are on every Tuesday night is our official day that we're on. We're on 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. We discuss the following. We do high school coverage. We actually stream high school games live on Friday night. So we always kind of get the high school guys in. We do obviously college football. We do pro football. And when the Hawks are in season, we talk a lot of Atlanta Hawks. So guys, again, tune in and check us out. If you want to contact me, like if you got a great sports story, you know something, hey, preacher, you should talk about this, hit me up here. First of all, let me get my banner off there so we can see that. There it is. Follow us on social media at Real Talk Sports, the number 7. That's on Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook as well. Also on Twitch, Real Talk Sports 7. On YouTube, Real Talk Sports TV. So again, follow us there. You can follow me personally at Minister J Sim. I'd love to have you contact me and follow me, and I'll follow you. No respect to persons. Now, again, like I say again, if you have a great story that you have and you want to get that to us, please hit me up here. Jay Simmons at realtalksports.net, or you can call me right in the cell, 678-410-9833. All right, here we go. Todd, you get the last one in here, buddy. It's a great points tonight, preacher. I think Coach's ego will have Ron sitting by game 5. You're probably right. All right, everybody, until the next time, again, check us out again on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. with the Real Talk Sports Show. We'll be back on with you again, live streaming from just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. All right, until the next time, God bless you and have a great night. So long.